today I want to share 4 things that stood out to me as a health psychologist. It's been a while since I watched a K-drama that felt heartwarming like this. For me, Sold Out on You is not just about romance. It's about compassion between people. The first lesson is that compassion can appear in small daily moments. I know it's a K-drama, so there are coincidences that make the story possible. One example is when Mechuri answered a phone call from a stranger. He didn't know it was from Tam Ye-jin. He didn't know her story yet, but he noticed the desperation in her voice. So instead of hanging up, he stayed. That small moment reminded me that compassion often begins long before we know someone's full story. Sometimes it starts with noticing that someone is struggling. Paul Gilbert, the founder of Compassion Focused Therapy, describes compassion as being sensitive to the suffering in ourselves and other people with the commitment to try to alleviate it. And compassion didn't stop with another person. With Mechuri's support, gradually Tam Ye-jin begins taking better care of herself. It felt as though compassion from someone else slowly created space for self-compassion. And that's what I appreciated throughout the drama. Compassion doesn't have to be shown through grand gestures. It can be shown through daily moments, listening, noticing, staying, and making someone feel less alone. The second thing is sometimes the worry about being seen having a skin condition was just as hard as the condition itself. One of the scenes that stayed with me was watching a young girl named Somi putting on a mask when she is around people who she's not comfortable with. It felt sad to see a girl at such young age already internalizing visible differences between her and other people and hiding her face behind the mask, not wanting attention, not wanting her classmates to see. But actually, she wanted to become the class president so that she could make everyone feel included and supported. And a very heartwarming scene is seeing Somi believing in herself more and more and give a speech to her classmates with the help of Tam Ye-jin. As I watched those scenes, I kept thinking about shame and visibility. Sometimes the suffering or the difficulties come not only from what we are experiencing, but from worrying about how other people might see us. It actually reminded me a little bit of my own experience of severe hand eczema for months that I talked about in my previous videos. There were periods when I became very aware of whom I noticed the irritation. So I found this part of the drama quite realistic. The third thing that I appreciated about the drama is that it shows a health condition can affect many areas of our lives. In health psychology, there's the biopsychosocial model. The idea is that our health is not only influenced by biological factors, but also by psychological, social, and behavioral factors. Biologically, in the story, the reaction was triggered by a skincare product. Psychologically, there was worry, embarrassment, self-consciousness, and a fear of judgment. Behaviorally, avoiding social situations and being careful with food choices. And socially, the support from family, friends, and the village community. The scene that stuck with me was when Somi got closer to her classmates and felt more confident after being voted as the class president. I think this is an important reminder because when we think about improving our well-being, we often think about the biological side. Like we first look for the right treatment, the right product, or the medication. But meaningful change can also involve improving our sleep, reducing stress, and receiving social support. For me, sleep is probably the area I'm most consistent with, and I feel like when I sleep well, Other health behaviors seem to just fall into place. If you were to choose one area of well-being to focus on, what would that be for you? The final theme that stood out to me was guilt, that self-criticism can follow us into bed. Thẩm Ye-jin and Mechuri carried a huge amount of responsibility for what happened. They believed that they hurt people and they carried the feeling of guilt for years. Research consistently shows the link between self-criticism, rumination, guilt, and poor sleep quality. The first episode showed how much this affected Tam Ye-jin. She continued using the sleeping medication despite her doctor's advice to explore the underlying causes of sleep difficulties. Sometimes the things that keep us awake are the mistakes that we keep replaying, the guilt that we are carrying, and the self-blame that we haven't let go of. One line that stayed with me was when later Tam Ye-jin admitted to giving up sleep for work and felt as though her body was angry at her. And I think that's a powerful way to describe what happens when we keep overriding our needs for too long. Perhaps that's why I find the ending so moving. Small moments of compassion seem to help both characters feel safer. And when people feel safer, they often sleep better. By the end of the drama, one of the most wholesome moments for me wasn't a romantic scene. It was simply seeing them finally sleeping peacefully without relying on sleep medication. It felt as though after years of guilt, loneliness, pressure, and self blame, they had finally found a little bit of a rest. Overall, I really enjoyed the drama, not because it was perfect, but it showed us something that we all experience in our daily lives: shame, visibility, self criticism, sleep, and compassion. So which of the themes resonated with you the most? Thank you for coming here and see you again next week.